So our first guest today is Vlad, the CEO and co-founder of TurtleOS. It's an online hiring platform that our team uses to facilitate fractional hiring of brouton lab data scientists. So Vlad is here to tell us about the difference between all these different types of hiring. And as one of the pioneers of the fractional hiring concept, he will help us define it and compare it with some of the more, let's say, traditional approaches. So hello Vlad, how are you? Thank you so much for being here. Could you introduce yourself a little bit, tell us a bit about the TurtleOS platform?
Thanks so much for having me. My name is Vlad. I am one of the co-founders and the CEO at TurtleOS, and we build software to make online consulting businesses like Broughton Lab able to focus on the real work, the data science work, and not the tremendous amount of administrative work that typically goes to running a consulting business, whether it's fractional or not. It's a task management, chat, and billing platform that puts all the admin and back office and payment pieces of online work in one place, so that teams like Michael's team can focus on the hard stuff, the data science.
Thanks so much. So the next question, so how would you define fractional hiring in general? So is it something that can be actually defined in a precise manner?
Yeah, I think fractional hiring is imagining what the relationship with a traditional long-term full-time hire is, but creating a fraction of that. So if you typically work with someone for 40 hours a week and you engage with them for ideally years, fractional hiring is the same kind of setup, but doing it at 10 hours a week or 20 hours a week or 25 hours a week, or whatever makes sense for both the hiring company and the person or team on the other side.
Amazing. So how did it come to life? When did it come to life? So how was it? How it started?
I think it's actually been around in a couple of industries for a long time. At least in the US, the way that people hire lawyers and accountants, it's rare, at least while a company is smaller, to hire a full-time accountant or a full-time lawyer. So people will work with a firm and hire a couple hours a project, a couple hours a month, a couple hours a week. But I don't think anybody would call a lawyer part-time or outsourced, because the relationship is long-term, the relationship is strategic. You want them to learn about your business. So lawyers and accountants have essentially already done fractional models for a long time. But to make that work, they've had the infrastructure of their firms. Lawyers work in a law firm that does the sales, the branding, the billing, whatever task management and communication systems they use, file management systems, et cetera. Same thing with accountants. So the infrastructure has been there for a long time now to provide fractional hiring in those couple of industries. We're just seeing other industries like what Michael and the broughton Lab team is doing with data science come to life now. Traditionally, it's been more outsourcing and part-time and kind of second-class type of work, like for side projects and low-end projects. Fractional hiring outside of those more traditional industries like accounting and legal is relatively new.
Amazing. So we already know about full-time, we already know about part-time, we know about a little bit about outsourcing. Now we learned something about fractional hiring as well. So what are these core differences between all these different types of hiring?
Yeah. So I'll skip full-time just because I assume everybody knows you're in a long-term career, you have your benefits, you're working with somebody for, in most countries, that means 40 hours a week, at least as far as your contract arrangement goes. People work different hours within that, but that's what the paper normally says. Part-time and outsourcing. Part-time has been around for a while, and it's pulling somebody on when you need them. Outsourcing is a version of that has become more popular as the internet came about and we could hire people in other parts of the world. They're similar in structure, and unfortunately they're similar in perception, in that it's for second-class, low-skill work. People don't really hire part-time or outsourced strategists. They typically think, okay, this is a side project and this is cheap, and let's outsource it. With fractional hiring, my hope is that people open their eyes to hiring somebody for not 40 hours a week. It's an arbitrary requirement that came around a little over 100 years ago when children worked long time in labor factories. And at that time, it made sense to say, hey, instead of working 100 hours or 16-hour days and having kids that are under the age of 10 in labor factories, maybe we should cap it to 40 hours a week. And then it made a lot of sense. But today you can work from anywhere. You can work for multiple companies. And I think those rules are a little more arbitrary than they were 100 years ago.
Definitely, yeah. Everything is changing, especially work. So for the final question, and this is something I'm also curious about. So why Turtle? It was turtle.dev, now it's TurtleOS. So what's so special about turtles?
Yeah, we like the symbolism. I mean, everybody knows the turtle and the hare story. I think a lot of people think we need to go raise a bunch of VC money, we need to go hire a bunch of engineers, and we need to run as fast as possible and work everybody to death. I don't agree with that mindset. I think that the right relationship should be set up for both employers, the people working, the teams working with them, and ideally they're set up for long-term arrangements and long-term healthy arrangements, whether people are working 40 hours a week or 5 hours a week, 20 hours a week, anything in between. So the symbolism of longevity is the main one that we've really taken to heart with Turtle.
Amazing. I have a pop question here. So regarding, so you mentioned that part-time outsourcing usually associated with low quality, usually associated with some other platforms other than TurtleOS, like Upwork, maybe Fiverr or something like that. So what does TurtleOS do that makes sure that you don't become another one of these platforms? So how do you keep the work fractional? How do you keep it high quality?
That's a great question, and I think that's an important challenge for us as we become a bigger and bigger business. Upwork and Fiverr have really focused on the company doing the hiring and providing them an easy and cheap way to hire somebody anywhere. That doesn't really work great for the person on the other side, because it becomes a race to the bottom, a search box of who's able to do the work for the lowest price. Everybody has a 5-star review, so you end up picking the lowest price, and it's not really fair for the person doing the work. And the platforms and the way that they're built and the features that they build, in the way that their support teams and handle things, it's very buyer focused. So it becomes an employer friendly race to the bottom, which to the most talented teams and individuals, I don't think is very appealing. We've taken the approach of building tools for the people and teams who are actually doing the work. So the majority of our software is for Michael and his team. It's his back office software to create workspaces and contracts and billing and task management and chat with his clients. And his clients also get a premier experience of seeing exactly where time and money goes in a transparent way. But the core tools are built for Michael and his team to be able to focus on the real work, not the administrative work, so that they can deliver an A+ service to everyone they're working with. So that shift of focus and it's a different stack of tools. It's not a search box race to the bottom. It's very similar to how Shopify approached e-commerce. If you wanted to sell shirts or socks online, they were the first to really create a full stack solution to be able to do that and focus on your actual creating your goods, not all the stuff necessary to deliver them to customers. We've taken the same approach, but with service.
Amazing analogy here with Shopify. Vlad, thank you so much. It's certainly been a pleasure to hear you talk about these subjects. I can definitely say that no one can convey it better. Thank you so much for joining us, and thank you for building such a great tool.
And thanks for the brouton Lab team for really running with it. I mean, what they've done with fractional hiring and the clients they've been able to work with and the projects they've made so far are really amazing. So I encourage you to check them out and check their websites and projects out.
Thank you so much.